Okay, so here is reading log book number 9. This is Julian is a Mermaid, which I'd also never heard of, but turned out to be a really exceptional book. You can see on the cover, you can guess that Julian is dressing up to be a mermaid. So there's his wild hair, and there's his tail made out of a curtain. And then on the back cover, we have um, Julian sitting with his abuela on the train, and you can see the mermaids walking past in the back. So this book is written and illustrated by Jessica Love. It was published by Candlewick Press in 2018, so very new, which is really cool. And the age range is 4 to 8 years old, or preschool to second grade. And I think you could honestly even do a little bit before preschool, just because it doesn't have a lot of words. It's not hard to understand, and it's a really fun idea, and the pictures are really beautiful. So the illustrations are in watercolor and gouache and ink, and I've never really experienced anything like them in children's books. So the thing that I love about, so it's about a little boy that is on the train, and he sees these mermaids come on the train, and he is like enchanted, and he just wants to be a mermaid himself. So when him and his abuela get home, his abuela goes to get a bath, Julian rips down the curtains. He finds like potted plants to put on his head, and he becomes the mermaid, and he's so happy with himself as a mermaid. And his abuela gets out of the bath, and she just kind of stares at him, and he's like, oh no, what is she gonna think? And then she ends up saying, okay, come with me, and she brings him to the Coney Island Mermaid Parade, which is apparently the biggest parade. I didn't know, the biggest parade in the United States, where everybody dressed up as sea creatures, as mermaids. So I guess that's why the women on the train were dressed up as mermaids. And his grandma takes him immediately to this parade so that he can also be a part of it. So at the beginning, he's at swim class with his grandma, and you can see all the other old ladies in the pool, and there's Juliana under there. And then you have on the back, they're all mermaids. So, and then he's also a mermaid with long hair. So I thought that was really fun way to decorate the inside covers. But as we're going along here, the colors really pop. They have these rich, different, like especially these teal colors that they use. I don't think that you can even appreciate it through the camera, but the teal colors and the reds, and like the reds of his swim trunks, everything is just so bright and interesting and fun. And I think that the facial expressions there, it seems like this would be kind of more abstract because of the fact that it's watercolor, but each face is really unique and different and interesting to look at. So here he is on the train. I love the teal color of the mermaid tails for these. And then the hair, the attention to detail with hair especially, I think in this book is really important, which makes sense because it is, well, he calls his grandma abuela, so I'm assuming he could be Dominican, but I think that it's good because not only could, well, any child could relate to this, but not only could African American children relate to this, but also Hispanic children because of his connection with his abuela. So there are these moments, and I love the diagonal, and this happens a lot in this book, like the Molly Bang theory, but his hair grows long, he's kicking off his things, and he makes his transformation into a mermaid in his head. So here he is surrounded. Look at the fish in this picture are just astounding to me. The level of detail and the way that the colors just like fly off the page are so cool. Um, and this one too with this big blue fish. So here he is, another example of the diagonal, and him just exploring his fantasy of being a mermaid. So it kind of has that feeling of a fantasy book, but it also has the seriousness and the approach to the topic of gender fluidity, or just expressing yourself in any way that you feel you want to. And I think that this is an amazing way of doing it, because usually in books like this, the main character that is looking to dress as a mermaid or dress as a princess is met with some sort of like opposition. But for this, Julian's grandmother completely goes along with it. She understands that he just wants to be a mermaid, and she accepts him for who he is. And I think that that's a really important narrative to have out there. So again, there are the mermaids again, him on the train. And let's skip ahead a little bit to where he is making his mermaid costume. So they have the kind of episodic, almost cartoonish sequence of him making his mermaid costume, which is really fun. And the diagonal again. So I think that the funniest part, I mean, the fact that the grandma doesn't get mad that he ripped down her curtains and ruined her plants is good. But her dress is so pretty. But she just brings him right along. She grabs her umbrella and they end up at the parade and he gets to march. So I think that even though like the text isn't really, it'll be in the pictures, but it's not really integrated at all. I don't think that it could have added anything because the pictures that it would have, like the ones where he's transforming into his mermaid self, I think are it's almost a wordless picture book type of feeling. Besides the beginning and the end where he's explaining his mermaidness, it probably could have been a wordless picture book. So yeah, definitely a really good one to watch out for.